In this video, I would like to talk about bearing, the bearing that a line takes. Now, we already know that north is 0, and this would be south, east, and west. And when you're doing bearing, you use north and south. So if I was to start out here, and I would say the azimuth of a line is 104 degrees, 19 minutes, and 43 seconds. That would be the azimuth, and that would be going off of north. And we know this is going clockwise. The bearing of it, this line is traveling from that point. It is heading south and is heading to the east. So the bearing would be south and east. What would we put in here for the degrees, minutes, and seconds? The bearing would be off of south. So this would be the bearing. This angle here would be the bearing of that line. So if I was to take 180 degrees, because this is 180 degrees, if I was to take 180 degrees, 0 minutes, 0 seconds, and subtract from it 104, 19 minutes, and 43 seconds. I've already done the math. We would wind up with 75 degrees, 40 minutes, and 17 seconds. That would be the bearing. 75 degrees, 40 minutes, 17 seconds east. If I was to take that and bring that line up here, now we know that if this is 75 degrees, 40 minutes, and 17 seconds, well then this in here is 75 degrees, 40 minutes, and 17 seconds. So the bearing of this line here, if it started here going there, would be north, this degrees, 75 degrees, 40 minutes, and 17 seconds. West, because this is heading towards the north and it's heading west. And when you put bearing, you usually put an arrow. Which direction is it heading? Don't overcomplicate this. Don't mistakenly use the azimuth. Azimuth always goes off of north. If I want to know the azimuth of this line, what I would do is, if I took this line and if I look directly across there, I'm just going to add 180 to that. And I didn't do the math on this one yet. This line here, the azimuth, would be 255 degrees, 40 minutes, and 17 seconds. This will be the bearing problem. Now you'll notice that each one of these lines is 50 feet long when you go to draw this out, except for this last one. This last one is 42.66 feet, and it should end up right on the end of the first line. I've given you an azimuth and a starting point down here. So this is the azimuth. If that's the azimuth, then that would be this right here. So now we know that this line here is heading north, so it's north. And I could use the azimuth because that's off of north. So it's 76 degrees, 2 minutes, and 35 seconds. And it's heading east. So there's my first bearing. And what you want to do is you want to draw a line showing which direction that your bearing is heading in. How do I figure up here? How do I get the bearing right here? What I do is I put my little plus sign there, knowing that that's north and this is south. So what I want to know is, what is this angle right here? If this right in here is 76 degrees, so then what I do is I take 90 degrees, because this is 90 degrees from here to here. So I say 90 degrees, 0 minutes, 0 seconds, and I subtract 76 degrees, 2 minutes, and 35 seconds. And I wind up with 13 degrees, 57 minutes, 25 seconds. So this angle down in here is right there. Well, if this angle is that would also be 13 degrees, 57 minutes, and 25 seconds. So now I want to know what this angle right in here is. So now I say 38 degrees, 33 minutes, 0 seconds. And I subtract 13 degrees, 57 minutes, 25 seconds. And the answer is 24 degrees, 35 minutes, 35 seconds. That's what this angle right in here is. So if this angle here is 24 degrees, 35 minutes, 35 seconds. But that's not my bearing. My bearing has to be this angle right here. So what do? I take 90 degrees, because from here to here is 90 degrees. I take 90 degrees again, and I subtract 24 degrees, 35 minutes, 35 seconds. And I wind up with 65 degrees, 24 minutes, 25 seconds. So that's what this angle is. So that would mean that I'm heading north. So my bearing would be north, 65 degrees, 24 minutes, 25 seconds. West, because it's heading west. And I would draw my arrow there someplace, showing that I'm heading that way. Now I want to find out what my angle is in here. The same thing, if I draw my plus sign there and I work it that way. This is 321 degrees, 7 minutes, 22 seconds. Well, I know that if a circle is 360 degrees, if I subtract that from 360 degrees. So I start out with 360 degrees, 0 minutes, 0 seconds. And I subtract 321 degrees, 7 minutes, 22 seconds. And I wind up with 38 degrees, 52 minutes, 38 seconds. So that's what this angle right in here is. 38 degrees, 52 minutes, 38 seconds. Now how do I find this? That will allow me to work my bearing. So I have to find out this angle first. And this angle right here would be if I take the 65, 24, 25 and subtract it from 90 degrees. So if I say 90 degrees, subtract 65 degrees, 24 minutes, 25 seconds. And that gives me 24 degrees, 35 minutes, 30 seconds. So that's this little angle. That's this angle right in here. My little plus sign was off. So now to find the other side of this angle, right here, I have to take this 38 degrees, 52 minutes, and 38 seconds. So I take 38 degrees, 52 minutes, 38 seconds, and subtract 24, 35, 35. Because that's the opposite side of this angle right here. And that would give me 14 degrees, 17 minutes, and 3 seconds. That's what this is. But that's not my bearing. I have to take that from 90 degrees. And my bearing would be 75, 42, 57. That's what this would be. And I'm heading north, so this would be north, 75 degrees, 42 minutes, 57 seconds, east. Now I want you to figure out, remember, go and draw your little plus signs. And remember, if this is 14 degrees, 17 minutes, and 3 seconds, well, that's what this is right here. So subtract that from that to get this side, then figure out your bearing. And do the same thing here and the same thing here. So now what I want to do is show you how to draw this out. Remember, you're going to use decimal fractions of feet. So you're going to have decimals and you're going to use fractions of feet. So if I was to start to draw a line, and I'm only going to draw 3 lines, so it doesn't matter where I'm at. So if I pick a point here and I say at, now my first line is 50 feet, so I type 50, no foot sign. I could put a decimal if I want. Angle, what's my angle? My angle is north, 76, D for degrees, 02 minutes, use the foot sign, 35 seconds, use the inch sign, and I'm going east. If you don't put the east in at the end, you'll get an error. So now there's my first line. My next line is at 50 feet, angle, north, 65 degrees, 24 minutes, 25 seconds, west. And my third one is at 50 feet, angle, north, 75 D, 42 minutes, 57 seconds, east. And there's my 3 lines. Remember though, all of these lines are all 50. I'm just going to hit enter here. They're all 50 feet except for this one. This one is 42.66 feet. And that should put you right on the edge of that line. When you come back around, it should come right on the end of that line. And then try and copy some of these labels over if you want. And then submit this to me.